Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Run Free and Strong. I'm Rachel. Today we're at Larkin State Park in Southbury, Connecticut. This is a 10-mile rail to trail. Today I'm running an easy 8 miles on a groomed trail. I'm in my last 2 weeks of the taper for my 7 Trails 100-mile ultramarathon on Friday, April 23rd. So we have 5 days to go. And one of the things I'd like to do on this video, share with you my thoughts on a taper for an ultramarathon. Before we talk about the taper, let me give a little bit of background about the Larkin State Park Trail. The New York and New England Railroad operated from 1881 to 1939 from New York to Vermont and ran through what is today the Larkin State Park Trail. After the railroad ceased operations, Dr. Charles Larkin acquired the property and donated his estate for a bridle path. Today, it is a rail to trail, groomed trail, and used for walking, hiking, running, mountain biking, as well as equestrian use. And we are Oxford Airport. This is a pond that's been dammed by beavers. We can see the larger pond that's been dammed by the beavers. We see a lot of wildlife here early in the morning or in the evening. So to provide a little bit of context for the conversation about a taper for an ultramarathon, I'm wrapping up week 15 of a 16-week ultramarathon training plan for the 7 Trails 100-mile ultramarathon on April 23rd in Damascus, Virginia. It'll be my 3rd 100-mile ultramarathon. I DNF'd my first one due to injury, finished my second one, and this will be my 3rd. So I've started my 2-week taper at the beginning of week 15 and coming down from 50 to 60 plus miles on average during the first 14 weeks. There are a lot of considerations that go into a taper. What works for me may not work for you. So I'm going to share my own experience and my own thoughts on the taper. We'll break our chat about taper into 3 parts. First, we'll talk about what is a taper and why do a taper. Second, we'll talk about how to do a taper. And third, we'll talk about mental and other considerations. So very simply put, what is a taper? We want to reduce training volume and intensity before an ultramarathon race. A taper will enable us to consolidate training gains, freshen us physically and mentally, and enable final preparation for the race. We jokingly refer to this period as a taper tantrum because of the inherent conflict between reducing the training load and the fear of detraining or losing fitness. However, we need to trust our training. 98% of the work is done, and let me say from experience, we will maintain our fitness. There are several taper variables. These include race type, distance, and expected time, as well as runner training, fitness, age, and experience. One thing that's important to keep in mind is that tapers will not compensate for undertraining, and this is not the time to make up for lost training or to start experimenting. Let's also remember not to run a PB or personal best the week before the race. Part 2, let's talk about how to do the taper. Begin to taper about 2 to 3 weeks before the ultramarathon race. Reduce the training volume, first shorten the runs, and then reduce the frequency of runs. An example for a 3-week taper would be week 1, reduce volume about 20%, week 2 about 30%, and week 3, the week before the race, about 40%. To illustrate, if we're running about 60 miles on 6 days a week, our final week would probably be around 35 miles on 4 days. In addition to reducing training volume, we want to reduce the intensity volume, but not the level of intensity. Why is that? We want to be able to run faster in the race and with good running economy and maintain our muscle strength. Although we want to reduce training volume and intensity, we do want to maintain training specificity. For example, if our ultramarathon race is a mountain trail race, we want to continue doing some technical running with vert, but we want to be very careful of the injury risk on technical trails and probably reduce the vert. See another beautiful pond, or maybe this one's more like a lake. It's larger than the other two. So let's talk about part 3, our final part of how to taper, and that is mental and other considerations. During the taper period, there will be lifestyle changes. And the question comes up, what to do with all that free time? During our training blocks, we spent many hours during the week and many hours on the weekends doing back-to-back long runs. And although we're still running, there's a lot of free time available. Consider doing something different and fun. Read a book, watch a movie, take a walk with the family, lots of ideas. With all that free time, our mind starts to wander. Don't question the training and don't overthink the readiness for the race. Look back at your training and think about how much progress has been achieved. Trust the process. And what I find helpful is to visualize key workouts that went really well. Use some time during the taper to plan the race, itinerary, and logistics. Check out and lay out your gear. Very important. Read the runner's handbook that the race directors put out for each race. Familiarize yourself with all the rules and procedures. Prep and align with your crew and pacer if you have them. And visit the race's social media websites for last-minute updates as well as motivation. 2 weeks before the race, I suggest running a dress rehearsal to test and fine-tune the gear, fueling, and hydration. And depending on the location of your race, as well as your home location where you train, you may need to do some acclimatization for heat and altitude. Hey guys, run done. 8 miles in the books. 68 minutes and 25 seconds. So on average about an 8:33 pace. Out and back. I hope you found the tips about how to taper for an ultramarathon helpful. And if you did, I would appreciate it if you give the video a big thumbs up. It really does help YouTube show it to other people who may be interested. Thank you for doing that. If you have any questions, please leave them in comments below. And if you are new to the channel, it would mean a lot to me if you consider subscribing to follow my journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.